General Kregg, one of the most feared Viltrumite warriors in the galaxy, is the unstoppable right hand of Grand Regent Thragg. Ruthless, absurdly powerful, and believe it or not, quite the ladies' man. Oh, and let's clear this up right now, it's Kregg, not Craig. Took me long enough to get that right. Anyway, let's dive into his story. Kregg first appears in Invincible number 29, written by Robert Kirkman and drawn by Ryan Ottley. His introduction is not subtle. He and a group of Viltrumites arrive on the planet Thraxa, searching for Nolan, aka Omni-Man. After discovering that he abandoned his mission to conquer Earth, Mark, unaware of what he's walking into, shows up on Thraxa to help his father. But the moment he arrives, he realizes things are already bad, really bad. The Viltrumites have slaughtered the native Thraxans, the very species Nolan had been protecting and, repopulating with.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the?
Seeing the massacre, Nolan is furious. That's when the real fight begins. Kregg doesn't get directly involved in this battle, but he oversees the brutal beatdown that follows. Nolan has his back snapped in half by Lucan, and Mark is knocked out cold. When Mark wakes up, he's in a Viltrumite healing pod. Father is barely clinging to life. That's when Kregg makes his presence truly known. Seeing Mark's performance in the fight, Kregg decides to promote him, promote to the new Viltrumite Ambassador of Earth. Mark is given 100 years to prepare the planet for Viltrumite rule. No pressure, right? The Viltrumites then leave, and Kregg disappears for a while. But don't worry, he's far from done. Kregg returns in Invincible issue 45, sending Anissa, the absolute worst Viltrumite, to check in on Mark. Around this time, Nolan is imprisoned aboard a Viltrumite ship, where Kregg informs him that his execution is imminent. Fun fact, Viltrumite law states that you can't execute someone while they're injured. So, after Nolan fully heals, yeah, it's time to die. Obviously, that doesn't happen. We see Kregg again during the Viltrumite War, and this is where he gets to show off. As Thragg's right hand, Kregg is part of the Viltrumite forces sent to wipe out the coalition of planets. He goes up against the Alan the Alien, who, by this point, is one of the strongest beings in the universe. The battle is insane. Mark, Nolan, and Oliver arrive as reinforcements, and what follows is pure carnage. The coalition forces push the Viltrumites back to their homeworld, Viltrum, and that's when things really escalate. Mark, Nolan, Oliver, Battle Beast, Space Racer, Alan, and Tech Jacket don't hesitate. They take the fight straight to Viltrum itself, launching a full-scale invasion to wipe out the Viltrumite threat once and for all. Kregg and the other Viltrumite warriors engage them in an all-out war, and it's brutal. Oliver's nearly killed in the chaos, and the battle rages across the planet with no clear winner. That is, until the heroes make a game-changing move. Realizing that defeating the Viltrumites in combat isn't enough, they execute their most extreme strategy yet. Instead of simply fighting, they decide to destroy Viltrum itself, and they succeed. The Viltrumite homeworld is obliterated. What follows is one of the most brutal beatdowns in comic history. Thrag doesn't just hold his ground, he destroys his enemies. Mark, beaten within an inch of his life. Nolan, left barely breathing. Even Alan, the strongest warrior in the coalition, gets completely wrecked. Thrag proves why he's the most powerful Viltrumite alive. And at the end of it all, he doesn't even finish them off. Instead, he makes a shocking decision. With Viltrum gone, the Viltrumite race is on the brink of extinction. There are now only 37 pure-blooded Viltrumites left, and that's why Thrag spares Mark and Nolan. Their species is too rare to throw away. Thrag knows they need every Viltrumite they can get if they're going to survive, but not everyone agrees with his decision. Kregg, loyal to the old ways, tries to finish off the weakened Mark and Nolan. Thrag immediately shuts that down, putting Kregg back in his place. Then, instead of retreating into hiding or continuing the war, Thrag makes a wild move. So instead of continuing the war, Thrag comes up with a new plan. Rather than conquering new worlds, the Viltrumites will integrate into human society and rebuild their numbers by breeding with humans. Kregg doesn't exactly get a say in this decision, but he sure as hell makes the most of it. Mark and Nolan, barely alive, return to Earth expecting the worst. They assume Thrag and his warriors are going to wipe out humanity in retaliation for the destruction of Viltrum. Thrag welcomes them back. He explains that with their numbers so low, the Viltrumites need to rebuild. And how do they plan to do that? Simple, by breeding with humans. That's right. Thrag's grand strategy is to bang his way out of extinction. Thrag tells Mark that the Viltrumites will now integrate into human society, repopulating by creating hybrid Viltrumite human offspring. And as crazy as it sounds, it works. Kregg, despite his initial resistance, embraces this new life. He even adopts a new look: eye patch, tank top, cigarette in hand, fully blending in like some kind of intergalactic biker dad. And of course, he does his part in repopulating the species. For a while, the Viltrumites actually settle down on Earth, marking a new era for their race. Later in the series, we see Kregg again during the Flaxan invasion of Earth, led by Monax, a Flaxan with a serious grudge against Robot. Kregg, despite his brutal Viltrumite nature, actually steps in to help. He intervenes in the conflict to save a woman in London, a moment that doesn't go unnoticed. Because he interfered, Thrag interrogates Kregg, demanding an explanation. But Kregg makes something clear: the Viltrumites are not to interfere in Earth's conflicts or politics. They're just here to do one thing, and that's make more Viltrumites. Turns out, Kregg isn't just out here saving random people. The woman he rescued? She was pregnant with his child. And here's the kicker: he's got 11 more women across the world, all carrying his kids. But what's even crazier, Kregg actually loves all of them. Meanwhile, things take a wild turn when Mark is infected with the Scourge virus. Thrag analyzes his DNA and makes a shocking discovery. Mark and Nolan are rightful heirs to the Viltrumite throne. They descend from Argol, the previous ruler of the Empire who was killed centuries ago. This revelation leads to one of the most intense battles in the series, Nolan versus Thrag. The two fight brutally, and Thrag nearly kills Nolan. But before he can finish the job, the remaining Viltrumites step in. They betray Thrag. The Viltrumites overpower their former leader, beat him down, and pledge their loyalty to their true emperor, Nolan. Nolan, now ruling the Viltrumites, chooses mercy. Instead of executing Thrag, he exiles him. Dumb move? Oh, absolutely. Big mistake. Huge. The next time we see Kregg, it's during Robot's takeover of Earth. At this point, Nolan and the Viltrumites strike a peace deal with Robot. They could defeat him, sure, but at the cost of losing far too many of their own people. Kregg doesn't play a major role here, but he's still around, loyal to the Viltrumites and their new way of life. That is, until Thrag makes his return. After his exile, Thrag disappears for a while. What's he doing? Oh, just breeding an army of half Viltrumite, half Thraxan children. He spends months on the planet Thraxa, doing nothing but, well, you can guess. And when he's ready, he launches an all-out war against Nolan, Mark, and the Viltrumites who abandoned him. When Nolan calls Kregg for backup, Kregg is busy. He's in the middle of introducing all of his baby mamas to each other. But the moment duty calls, he dips straight into battle. And what follows is one of the deadliest battles in the series. The Viltrumites fight against Thrag's half-breed army. Many people die, including Nolan himself. Mark, devastated but fueled by rage, finally defeats Thrag, with help from the Viltrumites, Robot, Alan, and of course, a special shout out to the sun, because that played a part too. With Thrag gone, Robot sees an opportunity. He fears that Mark could take the Viltrumite throne and rally his people against him. So, what does he do? He tries to kill Mark. At first, Kregg actually fights against Mark. But not out of loyalty to Robot, he's just trying to protect his kids. Robot had systematically kidnapped the hybrid children, while the Viltrumites were off-world. But Mark convinces Kregg to fake it. He tells him to put on a show, pretend to be loyal to Robot, while secretly waiting for the right moment. And when the moment comes, Mark takes down Robot for good, ending his reign once and for all. With Robot gone, Mark is crowned Emperor of the Viltrumite Empire. And Kregg, he swears loyalty to Mark. As a kid, Mark was always told the Viltrumites were a benevolent race, bringing peace to the universe. And slowly but surely, he makes that a reality. Kregg, once a ruthless warrior, now helps bring peace to the galaxy. He's still loyal, still a warrior, but he's also a father, a protector, and a changed man. He presumably lives for hundreds, if not thousands of years, watching over his children and his people. And that's the story of General Kregg, a legendary warrior, a loyal soldier, and a man with an unyielding thirst for battle. And let's be real, other things too. Hope you enjoyed this breakdown of General Kregg's insane character arc. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that other YouTube stuff.